So we work with a lot of contracting, construction, home service businesses, well, a lot of small businesses in general, but I see this particularly in that sector a lot where, most businesses in that sector aren't losing at marketing because they don't have enough content or don't have things to post. What they're losing at is posting, relies a lot on generally the owner or a senior manager's mood or their motivation or them simply having enough spare time to create and post content. And that approach generally, doesn't net good results. And so, businesses find themselves being reactive to their marketing. So things are slowing down. We haven't had enough jobs this month. We better do some marketing to get some work. Sometimes it just simply is not in the person's brain, so they finally remember it's time. We better do something. We haven't posted in a while. Sometimes they know they should be, but other things take priority, and then finally the guilt gets to be enough that they will finally post. Sometimes it's at the weekly meeting where somebody, reluctantly brings up like, hey, folks, we haven't posted in, 6 weeks or whatever. We should really do something with our Facebook page or Instagram, whatever it is. And when that's the position you're coming from, it's like you're starting from zero each time. There's no structure, there's no process, and you're just sort of constantly searching for new angles or new ideas or whatever, and you're starting from nothing each time. So there's no existing bank of resources to draw from, no pre-built graphics and things that you can drop in from other videos or other posts that you've made. And definitely no plan for repurposing content down the road. And so people quickly sort of burn out from trying to create each thing from scratch. And that's just never going to be sustainable. So that's pretty far from a marketing strategy. That's more like a digital panic state or something, where you're treating content like a one-time event rather than a long-term asset and something to be invested in that will reap benefits long way down the road sometimes. So business owners, in particular small business owners, are already wearing a dozen hats or 25 different hats in a day. And creating content just becomes one more thing on the list. And that sort of pressure to be creating something is exhausting, and it's not sustainable. But social media, on the other hand, rewards consistency, likes regular schedules, and that just doesn't usually jive with small businesses in particular, who sort of rely on these bursts of motivation to get things done, kind of in short sprints often. Trying to grow your business or your presence online without a system in place is like trying to heat your house by lighting individual matches. You get a little tiny burst of light, a little tiny burst of heat, but then it quickly fades away back to darkness. Now, the businesses that win online aren't usually more talented, they're just simply more organized. So instead of creating constantly or feeling like you need to be constantly creating, a better strategy is to set up regularly scheduled content capture sessions. So maybe once a month or twice a month, where you're capturing enough material that will sustain you for the rest of the month. And then you can edit that and cut that up into a number of different assets, and then distribute that repeatedly with an organized, intentional schedule that social media responds well to. So it's sort of a 3-step process. You start with the capture. You document your real work, your real expertise. So examples of this are customer questions and answers, project walkthroughs, staff explanations, before and after transformations, common mistakes that you see often, team culture and culture building pieces, documenting your processes, things like that. And you already have all this content happening within your company, within your business. It's happening every single day. You just need to capture it and in an intentional way. And then step 2 is to organize that content. So create categories, create systems, create catalogs of footage and images and resources that can be quickly drawn upon when you need them in the future. So good examples of this might be frequently asked questions that you could answer once and post online and not have to repeat yourself over and over again. Different types of education pieces, so whether that's tips and tricks for consumers or once you've completed an installation, things to look out for or best ways to take care of that for the first year of its life or something. Again, culture and team building type content. Short-term content like offers or sales or new services that you're offering, things like that. And when you organize content like that by purpose, it becomes dramatically easier to create it down the road in the future. And then step 3 is to repurpose content. So one shoot or one interview could become a YouTube video, and then several YouTube shorts, a couple of Instagram reels, some LinkedIn still image posts, images to go part of an article that you're publishing, quote graphics to put on social media. That content could live in your FAQ library on your website. It could become part of your onboarding or your training content. There's a million different ways to repurpose an interview or information that you've captured that may be originally destined for one thing but speaks really well to something else, or is a great demonstration to your staff when you're onboarding them of how you want a customer interaction to take place, or what a finished install looks like, or when you're happy with a job, things like that. So the goal is never to be constantly creating. In fact, that is far from the goal. The goal is to capture one time and then extract the maximum amount of value that you can from what you've already captured in as many different places as you can. Okay, so I think what I'm driving at here is that consistency comes from having a system, not just simply from being motivated. Rarely does motivation last and be strong enough for long enough for it to have an impact on social media. So you need a schedule and a consistent way of creating content. Otherwise, it's just feeling like you're either trying to catch up or keep up. And neither of those are good feelings to be having constantly sitting on your shoulders. So build a process that compounds over time and have your visibility grow through repetition and structure instead of from bursts of motivation. And you will see far better results over the long term. Okay, that's it for today. I hope you got something valuable out of this. If so, hit the subscribe. Talk to you later.